This is Ramon. Channel is Alpha Centurion 4. We've been talking about how my views have changed, and I'm also talking about which books had the most impact in my life since reading the Bible. Yeah, we finally got into this one. So, I had read the Bible before. I should say that when I was a child, I did read 2 different children's Bibles, and I did go to CCD, and I did Sunday school, and I did hear the Bible in church. But my dad a lot of times would take me to a Spanish language church, and since I don't speak Spanish, I didn't get as much Bible as he probably hoped I did. And by the time that I was between 13 and 15, I quit going to church altogether. I'm going to say it was 13. Around 1999, the idea of the world ending was really big. There's a lot of Nostradamus stuff, which my father was really into. And there were prophecies. And Orson Welles and the Man Who Saw Tomorrow was on TV all the time, talking about the new city with the way of the man-made mountains and the man in the blue turban and the 45 degrees and the great onslaught, which to the American imagination sounded like they were talking, like Nostradamus was talking about New York in 1999. And this played into a lot of things, not just religion, but also in entertainment, from NWO and wrestling to TV shows like Millennium and even Charmed. The apocalypse was big. So I was obsessed with that, and I started listening to a lot of Hal Lindsey and reading the book of Revelation all the time to myself. I read it multiple times, at least 7. And I had read the Bible, but I didn't read it all the way through. I skipped the boring parts, and there were long expanses between reading sessions. So I never thought I gave it a proper go. So I got myself this one, actually 2 editions before this one, the 3rd edition, I believe. And I read the Bible straight through. This time, reading an expanded version that also had the extra books that are in the Eastern Orthodox canon. And I read it straight through. And man, when you read it straight through, I was so right about that. When you read it straight through, it is super impactful, especially the New Testament. When you can see how revolutionary and how radical what Jesus is saying is. I remember when I read it straight through like that in one go. When you get to Jesus saying what he's saying, when you get to the speech on the mountain, you just go, whoa, they're gonna kill him. Like, I know as Christians we know he's gonna get crucified, but when you read it straight through, you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna kill him. Yeah, they're gonna kill him. There's no way they're not. You learn really quick that what Jesus is saying is super radical and super not acceptable culturally or socially during his time. But just like how when I read the Bible the first time, the Bible shook me of a lot of false notions of morality and destroyed all the fantasy stuff that I had built around me. When I read it the second time, after being humbled through a cancer scare, after losing my career and my fiance and my money, having spent it all on alcohol and food, and having gone through a diabetes scare as well, and just having my life fall apart, reading the Bible this second time all the way straight through, this time really all the way straight through, no pausing, no nothing, just powering through. Man, it was impactful. It changed my life. But it left me with a few problems, specifically Paul. So at this time, I'm still mildly a radical. I'm not as dedicated to the feminist cause anymore, but And I'm not writing for a magazine anymore. I'm writing short stories, and I'm submitting books to some publishing houses. Fiction books, mostly about ancient Greece. And are mostly taking place during the Mycenaean period of ancient Greece. And I'm reading this, and it's everything's fine. The Canaanite stuff, the stuff that people call supposed inconsistencies or supposed contradictions, none of that bothers me. But I get to Paul, and Paul's just not sitting well with me. So I need answers. So I start dialoguing with this guy who does a podcast that I listen to, and he stopped responding. So I couldn't find the answer I was looking for. And he later on would respond to me again that, he didn't stop responding for any particular reason. He just had stuff going on in his personal life. But I wasn't able to find these answers. And after thinking of going to different places, to a synagogue, to different religious places, institutions, I decided to go back to the church I went to as a kid and just go ask the priest. And I went in, and the priest wasn't actually available. The deacon was. And it turns out that not even the deacon was there, but his wife was. And his wife knew my mother when I was a kid. My mother was part of a non-denominational study group, and they were in the same study group together. And she now worked here at this Catholic church, and her husband was doing the RCIA class, and she said, go into that class and ask your questions there. And I did. And I renewed my faith. I recommitted my vows to the Catholic Church, and I started diving deep into Catholicism, thanks to the third edition of this book, of the New Oxford Annotated Bible, Revised Standard Version with Apocrypha, and Ecumenical Study Bible. Academic text, not religious commentary, but academic commentary. All right. Hope you're liking this series. I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, here we go.